Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Deepa Robbins from DeeZinesByD, and today I have a very special post for you. And I'm going to show you how to use your everyday dies or anything from your crafty stash to create cultural cards. So in my case, I'm going to show you how to make a card for what we in the Hindu background call Rakshabandhan. This is basically not a ceremony, but a festival, and it's to bring together brothers and sisters and strengthen their bond with each other. For more details, go ahead and look at my blog, which I have linked below. But let's go ahead and show you how I made this card. So I'm going to be using the Spellbinders Trefoil Tile and Panel Card Creator dies. This was a die of the month for February 2021. And when I saw this, I knew I wanted this specifically for this card. I make these cards every year. This is the first year I'm sharing it with you, but I'm using these dies because they look a lot like diyas. If any of you are familiar with the Hindu background, we do light these little diyas, which are these little clay pots, and you put some cotton with a bit of oil in it, and you light them during Diwali and just during all types of festivals. And if you know anything about the Hindu background, you know we have a ton of different festivals. So anyways, all I did was use that main piece, and this is for a slimline card. It's actually made for a mini slimline card, but I'm going to show you how to make it for like a large, like 8 or 9 inch by 3 or 4 inch card. I'm using the little element, which I'm going to call the Diya element because it kind of has that look. And I'm using it to cut out this is Sizzix Gold metallic cardstock. And I'm using that for these small little elements here along with the intricate background there. So I cut out a few of these with my little sidekick, which is also from Sizzix. And I cut out a few of those along with a whole bunch of them from a light blue cardstock. And right here, I'm showing you how I'm extending that piece to make it longer. So now it has 4 of those images versus 3, which is going to help me make it a longer slimline card. So you see this piece of cardstock I have here is like a midnight blue. It's like a dark blue, and you can see that it takes up the entire 8.5 inch width of the paper. So I measure that with a bit of a border around it and cut that to size. And that's how my little center or focal point bit is going to go in the middle there. So here are the same pieces I cut out of a light blue cardstock to kind of highlight on top of that dark blue. And I'm going to use the Hero Arts brushstroke stamp set. Now I use the stamp set a lot particularly for cultural events like this. It's not common to find. You can't find anywhere stamps for this festival. It's not too well known, but I do celebrate it every year. And so I have to make these cards every year, and I have to tailor my sentiments to them. So these brushstroke, this Hero Art set, along with some of the Lawn Fawn letter sets, they come in handy for me. So I kind of did this happy. I did it twice because it was a bit messed up there at first. And now I'm using the Lawn Fawn Smitty's ABCs. Now these I love because they're cut in such a way that there's not extra pieces of the stamp hanging off around the edges of the letter. So you can actually make a long word and butt those little stamps up against each other like I'm going to do right now. This way it makes a continuous word without spaces in between, so it looks weird. So all I do is I kind of take the letters that I need, and the stamp set's good because it gives you a few of like the vowels, not like a few A's, a few E's. So if you need to use more than one, it works well. I have a lot of A's in this word, so I kind of have to split it in 2. This is the first half. I just kind of line it up and stick it onto my acrylic block, and then I'm stamping this out with some VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink. So that's one half of the word. I'm going to go ahead and follow the same process for the other half of the word, and I'll stamp it out in the same ink and make sure that that A and the B for the next word. Sorry, my head gets in the way a lot. And that's the full word that I have for this festival, Rakshabandhan. So now what I'm going to do is kind of put together my base. I'm going to attach the dark blue piece onto that metallic piece. Now you can see I cut out the center of that metallic piece. This is just like a little trick that I use because this is such a nice shiny metallic paper, and we all spend, quite a bit of money on our crafty stash, and I am one of those people who hates wasting it. So I cut out that centerpiece and I kept it aside to use for a different project because I don't want to waste all that cardstock, and it's just going to be hidden in the back there anyways. So I had a bit of trouble here trying to stick this on. I kind of had to take it off a couple times, but once I got it centered, I used my strong Be Creative double-sided tape to attach it to the metallic cardstock. When I'm using any type of smooth cardstock, I tend to use the strong adhesive, which is this Be Creative tape, because it doesn't always stick well. So for the rest of my card front, I'm using some Tombow Mono repositionable tape runner. So you see I'm just like taping down the trefoil background there. And it's movable, so I can remove it because I'm going to end up popping that up with some foam tape. But for now, I want to kind of keep the position so that I can position these light blue pieces around it to kind of create a bit of interest on the background of my card. This is a bit time consuming, especially because I'm kind of measuring it and then cutting it and then sticking it on. It takes a bit of time. So I do have a few other cards that I created for the same event, and I did them a little differently without all this little finicky work with this little piece, and I'll just explain how I do that at the end of this video. But I'm going to go ahead and keep using the same kind of process to complete this card. So I'm cutting off edges. I'm using some of the extra edges that I've cut off. See in the top left and right corner there? Those are pieces that I've cut off. And I'm just kind of adding them there to fill in some of the gaps to keep the pattern kind of continuous. So this is what it looks like once I've completed the left side. And I'm showing you here that I cut little strips of my foam tape or my foam squares and attached it to the back here. It took quite a bit of time, so I'm not going to show you how I did that, but basically you just cut the small little pieces and put them on the back of this intricate little frame, I guess you could call it. So I'm centering it here on my card, and you can see in a couple places I've just basically stuck the foam tape there as I'm showing you. Not a big deal. I'm going to be covering it up with the sentiment. So I did the same thing for all these little pieces that go in the center, or these little dias as I'm calling them. And those little foam pieces I've cut are pretty small. So as I said, takes a bit of time. And that's just one. I'm going to do the exact same thing for all the rest of them, and that's the final image you get. So you can see there where I joined that extra piece to make that frame a bit longer. I'm covering up that joint, so you're not even going to realize that I joined two pieces together. It looks like one continuous frame. So those are some little tricks you can use to kind of make your dies work for you and adjust the sizes for what you would like. So I'm just going to attach these two sentiments. And then I need something for interest. So I'm using the Spellbinder Simply Perfect Layered Blooms. I love this set. It's so versatile. I've used it in so many different other videos and with different cards. I'm just using the leaves, and I've cut this out of some white glitter cardstock that's also from Sizzix, and some green midnight midnight green cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. It's a really nice dark green, which I think would look really nice with the blue because it's a dark blue. So I'm just going to kind of, layer those together. I added the white behind the green because it kind of makes that green frond stand out a bit instead of it getting lost in the blue background. And then I have these lolly beads, which I've talked about before. They're just nail art gems, and I'm going to be using the gold version of them. They're very shiny, and they go perfectly with the metallic cardstock that I've used for that frame. So I'm just going to add those all over the card where I see fit. There can never, in my opinion, there can never be too much embellishment. And it's always fun to do. And I particularly do recommend having an embellishment wand like the one I have here. You can use any type of wand you want. It just helps the process move along quicker. So I'm going to show you how to make your own stamp here. So I've got some of this fun foam. It's basically just like crafty, like kid foam. You can use it for like any type of kid crafts, and you can find it on Amazon very easily. You get a whole pack of them and it doesn't cost that much. And I'm just cutting out that same dia image, and I'm gonna add some of that repositionable tape to the back. This is gonna get it nice and sticky and allow me to also remove it when I'm done. And I'm sticking it onto my acrylic block. So this is my makeshift stamp because there isn't a coordinating stamp that I have. Actually, there is a coordinating stamp with this, but I just don't have it. So I made my own stamp here, and as you can see, it makes a pretty crisp image here. So I thought I would use this to kind of continue my pattern from the front of the card on the inside of the card. And I'm going to be using a whole bunch of Altenew inks for this. I always kind of gravitate towards my Altenew inks just because I've all these different inks, they cost so much money. So I suggest if you are not able to pay for all of that, pick one, like get a couple inks from different brands, try them out, find out what you like the most, and then invest in one of those brands. So Altenew just happens to be one of the first inks sets that I bought, and I've kind of maintained that entire ink set. I have all of them along with the re-inkers, so it gives me a lot of it helps me with whatever I'm doing. I don't have to worry about running out or the ink pads drying out. I have re-inkers, and I've invested in this one set that I have the complete line of, so I have all the colors, and it's workable for anything that I need to do. So anyways, I'm using this set of blues. I'm going to link the colors that I've used in my blog. You can go ahead and check that out if you're curious as to the colors I used. And I'm just continuing that pattern on the inside. This just makes your card a bit more fluid. It makes it match the front, and I love doing this type of thing. So these are some strips of gold cardstock. They're actually the negative pieces from a die, from a pink fresh die that I used from like a while ago. I just keep all these pieces and then I use them on cards in the future. If you don't, have anything like this lying around, you can cut your own strips yourself. It really is not a big deal. And I'll just cut off the overhanging bits here. This is just to tie the gold in from the front of the card and kind of complete it a bit. And then I'm going to use this Altenew Candlelight stamp set. Now this set I love, 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 love. I would recommend everybody having this set just because it has all these different candles on it, all these different lights. And if you are the type of person that creates cards for a whole bunch of different occasions, it is common for all backgrounds, all religions, all cultural groups to use lights, whether they're this type of light, like us, the Hindus, we use this diya type of light. I don't know what other backgrounds might use it, but there's also the simple tea candle, and there's also birthday candles, and you could even just use the flame and sort of make whatever thing that your flame stands on specific to your background. It's completely versatile, and I would recommend, as I said, everybody to have this set. And it especially works for me because I use this all the time. Sorry about my head getting in the way again. So I'm just basically stamping out the clay pot here. I'm using a bunch of grays and browns by Altenew again, and I'm just stamping out the little wick here now. And I'm gonna use a bunch of yellows to do my flame. So that's why I like this set. It has a really nice frame. It has different types of pots that you can use. It makes it very versatile. And I mean, if worse comes to worse, you always can use just the candles for birthday cards, right? So anyways, that's my little dia. I'm going to show you something really cool here. I'm using the Birch Press Sugar Script numbers. Very simple set. You don't even have to use Birch Press. Any type of number dies that you have will work. And I'm using some black cardstock, and I'm going to show you how to make the Ohm sign. So the Ohm sign is very particular. It's specific to the Hindu background, and you'll see this everywhere, especially with when it when it relates to like yoga and stuff like that. You normally see the Ohm sign. It's like a Zen kind of sign for peace and things like that. So I can't find this sign anywhere, so I kind of have to fashion it myself out of these number dies. So I'm using the number 3 and 2 specifically, and I'll take that 2 die, cut it out twice. I cut off the top and turn it the other way around to get this kind of hook in between the 3. And then the bottom half of the 2 I use for that little curvy bit, and then I cut off the round little bit of the 2 to make the little dot. And that's my makeshift Ohm sign. I use this every year for any type of religious cards or cultural cards from my background. And it's so simple, using the simplest set of dies, numbers. So I used some more of that fresh lemon Altenew ink to create a bit of like a yellow haze above the candlelight. And I'm adding my Ohm sign there. So it kind of highlights that sign and that symbol. And I'm just going to add the rest of my symbol right here. Very simple to do. You can even make a stamp out of this, which is actually what I did, using the same technique as I did before. And I used it for a few more other cards. So here's the final card. I used a bit more embellishments on the center there. You can see in the middle of those little images in the center. And the inside matches the front. It has your nice dia with the Ohm sign. So that's my Rakshabandhan card. And as I said, I made a few more. I made some in red, green, and like a lighter blue, like a royal blue. And for this, I decided to use some embossing folders, which was a bit easier. As I said, I have everything linked up in my blog. And I followed the same kind of design. And in this case, I made the mini slim lines. As you can see, there's only 3 of those little images versus the extended frame that I made earlier. Inside is pretty much the same, and I used the Simon Says Stamp Kaleidoscope Leaves stamp for this, and I used oxide inks to kind of match the colors to the front of the card. And that's all I have for you today. So, as I said, this is my cultural card. I used a lot of my stamps and dies and kind of tailored them for this specific card. What you want to do is pretty much up to you, and you can just take the stamps, the dies, the crafty stash that you have, look at it, and think about how you can tailor that to your own cultural festivals or celebrations. And I know that there are also some stamp companies, I know Altenew has some, that have stamps from different backgrounds with different salutations and things like that. Go ahead, give them a look. I recommend having them in your stash because, I mean, everybody has different backgrounds. They come from different backgrounds, and there are a bunch of other cards that you can make with what you have. So if you like my video, remember to give it a like, thumbs up, hit the notification bell for more videos, and don't forget to subscribe. Check out my blog and see what else is there. And I do want to apologize for any background noise that you may have heard. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye.